Yo, what's going on, guys? Episode 6 of the Corner 3 podcast. Today's episode, I have a guest. Nolan came on. We talked some hoops. We talked Knicks. We talked some Celtics. We talked Lonzo Ball. We talked a lot of things. Good episode here. Was using a different recording, so the first 2 minutes cut off a little bit, but we were just talking about, the frustrations with the Nets game last night and how Randall's been really performing this season. Let's go.
We traded Randall for a second round draft pick. I'm like, good. Thank God we got that dude off our roster.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And the thing about Randall too is that he really improved his shooting.
Oh yeah, his mid range has been incredible this season.
Man, 40% from three. The connection with him and Reggie. Reggie after the All-Star break is shooting 45% on 7 attempts. So he's really became like a real sniper. After the All-Star break. Also like Alec Burke, he's really been transforming like into a fourth quarter player for us, averaging 16 points, 45% from the field, 42% from three on 5 attempts right after the All-Star break. So he's been on fire after the All-Star break, but the wins haven't been totaling enough like it should be. But I guess our schedule has been kind of hard on the second half.
Yeah, that's one thing for sure. Is that if you look at it, like everybody says, the Knicks have been struggling a little bit the second half of the season. But we lost what 2 games to the Sixers by like 4 points. 2 of these games to the Nets by 2 points. These are good teams and we're playing them close. But I don't think it's exactly a collapse of the Knicks or anything like that.
No, 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 I don't. I think it's I mean, how do you feel? Do you want them to make the playoffs, or do you want them, to get that extra lottery pick? Because I don't. It seems like the Mavs, Luka's just putting them on their back. I don't think the Mavs are gonna miss a playoff spot.
Yeah, I'd like to see them make the playoffs, at least a play-in game, just because of how the season started and the expectations and the experience for all these young guys. But obviously, I'm not going to be terribly upset if we get a lottery pick either. The good thing is, if you have 2 picks, our pick and the Dallas pick, neither of them are obviously going to be super high. You could always use them to trade up or just take 2 shots on 2 players. We found quickly late in first round. I'm sure we could, yeah, nothing's ever a sure bet between that and Detroit second rounder, which is basically a first. I think we'll find a guy that can really help us out.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about the draft, talk about Obi. Obi has had a rough rookie season. Uh,
Oh yeah, he's been
coming
struggling.
in, coming in, I thought he would be more, ready for the NBA. That was the appeal of drafting him with Tibbs. Tibbs doesn't like to play rookies, but we're seeing, except for Quickly, because Quickly's actually good, but
Yeah,
uh, but Obi has looked lost, especially on defensive end. Like you can't play him and Randall together, so that's a comp. Like that's a something that needs to be addressed in the off season. What do you think about the whole Obi situation?
it's been frustrating watching Obi this year, and he hasn't been getting a lot of minutes, which I think is definitely part of it because it's just hard to get into a rhythm and get adjusted to the NBA. It's not like he came from some big powerhouse conference where he was playing against elite competition. And you're seeing little signs of his improvement. He's getting a little bit more confident with his three. I saw in this game today they actually used him in some as the role guy and scored on some of those. But with Mitch out, I think Tibbs just really needs to find a way to get Obi more involved in the offense.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm pretty sure like Tibbs had a big voice in picking Obi, and he
Mm.
probably thought Obi would be more like but as you said, like he didn't play the best competition. At Dayton he played a lot of center, and he was just bullying people, and that strength has not translated to the NBA. I don't know if you noticed when he posting up people, even smaller forwards or like he can't do anything. Like
Oh yeah, even when he goes up for layups, sometimes he just he looks a lot like RJ when he went to the paint last year before he had some of that muscle, where he's just not strong enough to finish at the rim. So hopefully this offseason he'll be able to bulk up a little bit, and you'll see a little more effectiveness from him.
But the concern I see with the RJ with the Obi thing is that Obi is like 22, 23.
That's true.
RJ is 19, 20 bullying guards for NBA guards, seasoned vets. He's bullying them at
Oh yeah.
19, 20. Obi's not doing that.
No, no, not yet. Not at all.
you know? But
Yeah,
a more
no, it's
positive
definitely.
draft pick, lottery pick, RJ. RJ's really improved this year. Uh, improved his scoring average from 14 to 17. Improve his free throw percentage. Since he's not really a 3-point shooter, he's gonna really count on those, free throws for those points. He improved from 61 to 72%, and he's shooting a 34% from the three, which is league average. Which coming into the draft, that's all coming from the draft. That's all you can ask from him, to be honest. To be a league average 3-point shooter. That's all I ask, and he can average 23 points off that. I believe in his prime.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. I mean, yeah, if he can shoot league average and he can get to the rim the way he does and draw fouls, I know it's an obvious comp, but that everybody makes. But I mean, I really see a lot of Jimmy Butler in him if he can continue,
Yeah.
gaining muscle and developing a shot a bit more. Because he's already even shown he's a decent bit of a playmaker. So I mean, I think the sky's the limit for RJ after last year, where I was really concerned about RJ. I mean, I didn't speak about it much. I didn't talk about it much. I didn't want to think about it much. But I mean, this year he's really showing that he deserved to go 3 overall in that draft.
Yeah, for real. When RJ was really picking things up, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, like Knicks fans and Grizzlies fans were going back and forth talking about, Morant is better and RJ's better. I'm not too, because you know how Knicks fans could be. Like, I'm not on that boat yet. John Morant is definitely still better than RJ, but RJ has
Yeah, yeah.
proved that, he's going to be the real deal.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I love John Morant, and like, there's obviously a reason he went 2 ahead of RJ, but RJ's put together a really solid year on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. How do you feel about Frank and Knox so far? I definitely thought Knox would get more of a look this year. And he hasn't got any more minutes in the second half too. I mean, garbage time, I don't really count that, to be honest, because
Yeah,
you're not
yeah,
really breaking Tibbs' rotation like that.
yeah. I mean, if you're getting garbage, I mean, he hit like a few threes the last game he got in, but I mean, it's the end of the game. People are just flying around trying to put up shots. It doesn't really mean all that much.
How do you think the future for Frank and Knox is going to be? Because Frank is going to be a restricted free agent. I know teams are going to be looking at him, thinking that they could bring him into their situation and fix him up. But Knox has 1 more year left. He could be in the trade package. You never know what the Knicks are going to do with the assets. But how do you feel like the Knicks and Leon Rose and his new front office are going to, proceed with this?
Well, with Frank, I'd say since he's a restricted free agent, I'd wait and see what teams offer Frank because I really don't think there's that many teams that are going to throw a ton of money at him.
Oh
If
no.
there's some team that wants to throw him some stupid amount of money, by all means, let him walk. I love Frank. I love his defense, and I've wanted him to be our starting point guard for since we drafted him. But I mean, I'm not gonna want to overpay a guy that's that limited, basically just like a defense specialist at this point.
Like, what's the max you would like? What's your limit on giving Frank a contract? Like, how much money would you give him per year?
Um, I'm not really with cap stuff to be honest. I'd say probably around like 5 mil a year for
Yeah,
2-3 years.
yeah,
You
for
can
real.
get him for that.
Yeah. You saw what probably around with what's his name? Austin Rivers. What he got? Probably just throw that at him.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a good deal. I mean, I like that Austin Rivers deal. Obviously, once we traded for Rose, that wasn't going to work out. But I mean, that was a super favorable contract for the Knicks.
And then OKC just waived him. They didn't even let him in the bill.
Really?
Yeah. They didn't. They're not playing
Where's
him.
it? Is he with another team yet?
He's with the Bucks actually.
Oh, what's that? Hey, good
Yeah.
for him, man.
Yeah, it didn't work out over here. I mean, not to really talk about Austin Rivers, but he only really showed up against Utah. 2 of the games against Utah, that's the only games he really played well.
Yeah,
Everything else,
he had a crazy game in that game, but I mean, outside of that, yeah, he didn't do much of anything.
I know you've been seeing the Lonzo hype. We were
Oh
supposed to
yeah,
trade for him. Never happened. I think they was asking for too much. I think the package was like along the lines of like Mitch, first maybe Mitch and Knox in a first round pick, maybe like something like. Then you have to pay him on top of that, right? I don't think the Knicks were trying to do that. They're gonna talk to him in free agency. You think we have a chance at him, or is just hype?
I think we have a chance with him a free agency. I mean, he's a really great fit for our team, and Pelicans really haven't shown that they want to pay players to get into that luxury tax. And I mean, I think if they try to lowball him, we could get in there. But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of teams looking at him too. But seeing how good he can shoot the three this year, just like last night, I'm pretty sure he had like a huge game from three. I mean, that just completely changes his upside as a player. Because not only can he distribute the ball and be a pass first guard, but if you can shoot and hit your open shots, that's huge in today's NBA.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be too mad if the Knicks like overpaid him a little bit, like a excess of $20 million, just cause like he could be an all-star, especially in the East. Like he can. Like he showed that potential. I know the Pelicans haven't been really winning, but it's not really his fault. He's playing solid defense. Like I watched a lot of New Orleans games. It's really not his fault. The three-pointer has really gone in. The free throws have really gone in. The vision has always been there. I, I I like Lonzo and the Knicks. I really do. I do.
I do too, yeah. And I know there's also recently been some hype about Brunson too. Who
Oh, oh
I
man.
would I would take Brunson as a consolation prize if we miss out on Lonzo. I think he's a pretty good fit for what we need on the roster.
Yeah, I really, really like Brunson's game. Like, man, he could play. Like Brunson is a dog. Like even in Villanova. Like,
Oh, dude, yeah, I watched it. I normally hate Villanova because they knocked Pitt out of the Elite Eight way back when Pitt was actually good. But man, that dude can ball.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, let's transition out of Knicks talk. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are 25-25, just 500, just like us. But they have two All-Stars on the team. They're eighth in the East. They've been pretty making poor decisions drafting wise, especially. They drafted Arian Naismith from Vanderbilt. They drafted Romeo Langford, who has not touched the court. I saw him last night, like for the first time,
Yeah,
and he hasn't really produced for them like that he hoped to. The Kemba contract has just been shit. Like that's probably one of the worst contracts in the league right now. Like Danny H tried his best to replace Kyrie, but nah, like Kemba has not worked out over there. Too much of a scorer to work with Tatum and Brown. How do you feel about the Boston Celtics? I don't know. Have you been watching any Celtics games? I know we hate them as Knicks fans, but
yeah. I mean, I watch him here and there and everything, but like you said, I mean, obviously Kemba was out for a chunk at the beginning of the year. He's not playing back to backs right now, so that's not doing them any favors. But as great as Brown and Tatum are, they're not players that make anyone else on the team that much better. They're good at scoring and getting their points, but they don't help distribute the ball and spread the ball around the court. So, I mean, I think if Kemba can stay healthy, they can still become like, I don't know, as high as a 6 seed or something if they play the rest of the year outright. But I think long term they got some real issues with that Kemba contract because he's not getting any younger and his knees aren't getting any better. So that's a
yeah, for
tough
sure.
spot to be in.
Yeah, for sure. This is like the main problem I have is just like the mismanagement of assets that they had. Hopefully, Leon Rose and that whole front office doesn't do the same mistake because, they were supposed to trade for Kawhi, when he was having that San Antonio issue. He was supposed to go get Anthony Davis, but he didn't want to give up Brown. Like like there's a lot of stuff like they could have done throughout the years, and like they try to cover their tracks with like trading for Evan Fournier. I don't know. They probably gonna have to pay him since you traded for him, right? That's what makes sense. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure what they gave up for him. It was just like 2 seconds or something, but still, I mean, you'd imagine they make that trade with the intent of keeping him for at least a few years.
And then they still got Tatum in the pipeline. Brown, his extension is gonna start to kick in. Kemba's contract, like, and then Marcus Smart, they still paying Marcus Smart like an excess of $15 million.
Yeah, I think he's a free agent next year too, right?
Yeah, how do you feel about him like on the Knicks?
That's one of the other people I was actually had on my list of free agents I'd like the Knicks to target. I mean, that defense is just, we need a guard that can defend and, at least show some signs of offense on our team. I think he'd be really great in the backcourt with Quickly.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. His defense, like, he's probably one of the like his defense, probably him, Drew Holiday. Like,
I love Drew.
did you see he got paid? He just got paid today. I
Oh
think
yeah,
last
good
night
for
or
him,
today.
man. I've liked him since he was in Philly. When I was younger, Philly was the team I kind of followed just because AI, and I live in Pennsylvania, so it made more sense than rooting for LeBron because I'm not a Bron fan. But yeah, is Drew Holiday is one of my probably top 10 favorite players in the league.
And you know what's crazy? Not gonna lie, I've always thought Drew Holiday was overrated. Not gonna lie, because
I
I've
was
always thought I thought his defense was good, but I always thought his offense lacked a lot behind his defense. And like it was like times in New Orleans where him and Anthony Davis, they could have went on a. I know they went on that one run like when they beat Dame, but I felt like if he was the guy that a lot of people said he was, like the Pelicans would have done a lot better with Anthony Davis. You know what I mean?
for sure, and I mean that's kind of the reason I like him in Milwaukee is because it's not just him and one other guy; it's him and Chris Middleton and then Giannis too. So like he doesn't have to have all that burden. He has more open shots and he can get around and still do his thing on defense without completely just running himself dead trying to do too much on a team.
How do you feel about like as far as like we could transition into the Bucks, I guess. Like, what do you think the Bucks ceiling is? Like, do you think they could beat the Nets? Because the Bucks have been on fire since the All-Star break. Giannis has just been tearing the league apart. 40 game, 35, 40. Like he's been tearing the league up. How do he might win his third MVP because we don't know who's gonna be the MVP. But you know, how do you feel about the Bucks?
I like the Bucks and I like Giannis obviously. I'd probably say I still think they're a few steps behind Philly and the Nets. I still think if they match up with either of them in a playoff series, they'll probably lose. But I mean,
Really, you think Philly would beat them?
I think so, man. Embiid's just been playing out of his mind this year when he's healthy,
We
and
can't
that
trust him. We can't trust him, bro. Like
that's true.
we can't trust him. And Ben, like I love Ben to death. Like I've been a big Ben fan since LSU, but he can't shoot the ball.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm actually kind of on the opposite end of that. I really don't like Ben Simmons.
Ah,
I want to like Ben Simmons so much, but he just comes off as such a like cocky, whiny little baby every time. He's always chirping at the refs, chirping at players. And I'm sure if he was on my team, I'd probably like him for that. But I mean, yeah, the fact that he can't shoot, I think, really limits what Philly's ceiling is.
you know,
But the addition of Seth Curry, though, I think that was probably like one of the most underrated moves of the offseason. That creates so much more spacing for that team.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And then even with Embiid out, their defense has still been top tier. They barely lost any games when Embiid was out. They're definitely a complete team. But what I've seen from the Bucks recently, with Middleton starting to like percolate in the second half, and Giannis, and just with the because I believe Holiday, I believe he got hurt or it was COVID, something like along those lines. Like he missed a decent chunk of the season. He's came back and
Mm.
he's played well with that group. I don't, and PJ Tucker, you don't forget about the PJ Tucker. They could run a lineup of like Drew Holiday, uh, Middleton, DiVincenzo, Giannis at the center, and like PJ, and like they could switch everything. Giannis could defend the rim.
Oh yeah, they're definitely a good team. I'm not saying they couldn't beat um, Philly, but I just think in 7 games that I don't. I guess it's just that what we've seen in the playoffs from Giannis has just been teams kind of walling him up, not letting him get to the rim. and I'm still not completely convinced they have enough shooting to make that work.
I see your point. I respect that. I respect that. But Brad Stevens' job has been he's been on the hot seat. And it's kind of funny because Brad Stevens had made something with nothing his whole, NBA career, and he's having one bad season. And, I guess the Celtics fan base is just like ours, like, you mess up for 20 games. We want you out of here.
I think that's a little nuts. I mean, I think like you were saying earlier, it's a little bit more on Danny Ainge. He just hasn't used that huge stockpile of draft picks to make any moves. And if you don't use your draft picks, you just end up with these players and you never know what you're going to get. The draft's a crapshoot every single year. So, I mean, it obviously hasn't panned out because their bench is just paper thin right now.
Man. Who's their best player off the bench? What, Fournier, maybe? Right?
That's probably. I don't even know much of their bench right now.
And then like they traded Theus, they traded not Theus, Daniel Tice and what's that other center? Uh, I don't know, but it's funny because now they're running like Luke Cornett and they're running like terrible centers. They're running terrible players at the
They
center.
got Cornette on their team.
Yeah, like he's there jacking up threes. I was dying yesterday. Like I was crying. I was like, yo, Cornette is still in the league. Like, damn. Like nobody's
Yeah,
giving up on
man.
that 7-2 shooter.
Yeah, I guess I mean, yeah, if you're that tall and you can shoot threes, someone will find us a spot for you in their rotation.
Man. You remember when he was on the Knicks? Like, I was actually a fan. I thought he could do something.
Oh yeah, no, I liked him and I'd like to keep him, but it just I don't know. It depends on I don't know what he got paid when he left, but I mean, I'm assuming it was probably more than the Knicks needed to pay him.
Probably a Ron Baker contract. You know how that went.
Oh Jesus, that was I out of everything with that Ron Baker contract, the fact that he got a no trade clause for some reason, just like what do you like? Why?
I never understood that contract. I saw like when Woj tweeted out that we signed Ron Baker to like a 2-year, like $9 million deal with no trade clause. I was just like, why? Why? Like he doesn't have no NBA skills. I'm pretty sure he's balling in China right now. No?
I don't know about him being on any other NBA team, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was in China. So it was Trier actually, which surprised me a little bit, but
Isn't Trier like last time I saw Trier, he got drafted by the Wolves G League team.
oh really? For some
Yeah.
reason I was thinking he was in China, but he might be in the G League.
Now I think he was. We probably think he was in China because some troll account like it went viral on like he signed. He signed to like China. It was like a Photoshop picture of him signing a contract. It's like a Chinese dude.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's
yeah,
more that's more than possible. I definitely just scroll through Twitter sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, and then I go back and it's like a fake Adam Schefter account or something. And I'm like, oh damn, fell for that one.
right. Let's talk about rookie of the year because it looked like LaMelo had that locked up, until he went down, 21, because after he started, like the 21 games he started, he put up 19 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, doing everything on the court, 42% from three on 6 attempts. So, the when people thought coming into the draft, he couldn't shoot, decision making was going to be questionable. He put all that to bed and he looks like a future star in the league.
Yeah, yeah. I think that he's definitely gonna be like a future MVP type candidate. I was a huge fan of his going in the draft. I was actually hoping that the Knicks would trade up to get him both their first and maybe a player like Dennis Smith Jr. or someone that didn't really have a future with the team. But I mean, just playing overseas and the way he was able to actually compete against those grown men really just kind of sold me on him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like when he first went over there, I was a little confused because I wanted him to play college ball because at the time, because like the competition, like we don't know, like because he was playing in like an Australia league and the team wasn't doing that good, and It was like
Uh,
kind of like the same situation that Killian Hayes was in back in like I believe Germany, where he was just playing on like a shit team, but he was putting
yeah.
up these amazing stats just cause like he was the man, and the main priority of the club was to get that guy drafted. And we see how Killian Hayes has turned out. Like I know the injury, but man,
Oh yeah, he's had a solid year, man.
and like we could transition to like Halliburton, because Halliburton really surprised me. I know Detroit kick, like they're punching the air right now, passing on Halliburton because he could have fit in with that point guard role. Because I didn't think he had a handle like that. I didn't think he could attack the paint and get those paint touches like a point guard would like to do in a traditional system in today's NBA. But he's doing all those things and playing alongside Fox and Hill, shooting the three at 39%, 13 points, 4 assists, and his defense at like 6'5" is really, really good. Like really good.
Oh yeah, he's a
He has a
complete
future.
player for sure. He was on the board when the Knicks drafted too, right?
Yep. He dropped like he was supposed to. Man, he was supposed. Like, I guess he was like that was his range. Us, Detroit. But he dropped all the way to Sacramento, which I believe was 12.
Yeah, I was really surprised. They were showing even on the draft, they were like best available players, Tyrese Halliburton. I was like, oh, Knicks need a point guard. Seems like an obvious fit. But I mean, it's hard to knock drafting Obi based on him being like college basketball player of the year. Julius not looking good the year before. So I mean, I guess I guess it's hard to knock on the Knicks for passing on him, but I think it would have been a much better pick.
When the Knicks drafted Obi, he was on the same like kind of thing. Like, oh, okay, I guess Randall's going, right? Or
Right. Yeah, I actually wrote an article for Daily Knicks, and I was like, Randall's probably played his last game as a Knick.
yeah,
I
everybody
came back
thought
and
that.
bit me in the ass.
Crazy. And then another guy that's in the running for rookie of the year, Anthony Edwards. Like after the All-Star break, he's been putting up 24 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Not much of a passer, but really been putting up increased his scoring average. But he's not been the most efficient, 33% from three, 44% from the field. He's stupid athletic. I know you've seen the highlights when he dunked on the Raptors player. He put him on the
Oh
court.
yeah. No, he's a freak athlete, and he's has better handles than I thought he did coming out of the draft. Um, I think he's going to be a really good player.
Do you see that trio of them, Towns, D'Lo, and Edwards working out offensively and defensively?
Offensively, I could see it working out. I don't think either of those threes. Maybe Edwards a bit, but Towns and what's D'Angelo Russell, I don't think they can play defense at all. So I think that's going to be what ultimately kind of keeps them from getting to like the heights they want to reach.
And then like that whole coaching situation they had, like they hired somebody off another guy's bench. Like, have you ever seen that before?
No, that was one up right up there with the Knicks. How they fired Fizz. That was like some of the weirdest firings I've seen in a while.
Yeah, like I understand firing the who was the Timberwolves coach, Saunders' son, right?
Yeah. Flip Saunders' son. I can't remember his name,
Yeah,
but
he was complete ass. He was ass. He had no command in that locker room. He was trash. But Chris Finch, like they've been playing well. Like their record has improved. Like over, they've been winning more games. I know you saw them against the Knicks. Like offensively, they're more of a rhythm. They have like with things that change. Like because I've seen them before and after. Anthony Edwards is more of a ball handler. Like Chris Finch has allowed him to play more pick and roll, not just stand in the corner, stand at the at the elbow, waiting for the ball. Then you do something like, nah, he's coming down the court with the ball in his hands already.
yeah. I mean, I think that with Edwards, the biggest thing for him is just gonna be how him and D'Lo kind of share that load of like handling the ball, running the offense.
And if they can, right? Because probably when Edwards probably when he doesn't have the ball, he's not that effective. He doesn't want to play defensive. If I'm not shooting in the next three possessions, like I'm disengaged. Like same thing with Knox, right? Like he doesn't touch the ball in the corner for a few possessions. He's out of it. He's pretty much out the game. I
Yeah,
think
he checks out.
yeah, I think Edwards has more mortar issues, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like Town like ultimately I feel like Towns is gonna axe out. Honestly, like in 2 years, I could see Towns just being fed up. You know,
Yeah, I can definitely see him being fed up. I just he's a great offensive player. I just don't. I mean, he's never gonna be the best player on a contending team. I don't think so, at least.
for sure, for sure. And I don't know if you've seen that article of how like Tibbs and Towns like they didn't end their relationship on bad terms, and like they're not like on bad terms. If they were to come together again, like it's fine. It's water under the bridge. It's a new situation. I wouldn't mind the Knicks making a run at Towns. Like if that situation opens up, I wouldn't mind. Cause I don't know how comfortable I feel with paying Mitch going forward, right? Cause he is due, and I don't know. Cause before the injuries, like cause he was playing amazing until he went down with the broken hand. I was ready to give him a 15 million a year, but bro, like if you commit to him, I don't know if he could play more than 60 games a season.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. I mean, it's hard to call him injury prone after a broke hand and that kind of like a freak injury breaking your foot going up for that steal, which was, I mean, you love to see that hustle and effort, but it was just a dumb play. But I mean, if you can maybe use that injury as like leverage to get him at like say 12 million a year for 4 years or something like that, I'd be thrilled with having him on that contract.
Yeah, for sure. And but he got hurt his second and first year too. He had ankle injuries. I was actually at his rookie year. I was actually at a game and when he hurt his ankle. Like it was my first time watching Mitchell Robinson. He was coming right off the summer league, when he took us all by storm. It's like he was dominating, and then I came to see him, and like, he got hurt like the first play. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, it's tough. Those 7 footers coming off like even this injury specifically is a foot injury. I mean, you never know how people are gonna recover from that.
I don't know. Have you noticed like past couple of years, like the young guys coming into the league, the big guys, like they've been all injury prone. Wendell Carter, marketing, like Mitch, like Mo Bamba, like bro, like a lot of bigs. They don't see a lot of the court the first couple of years, and
Yeah,
people,
man. I mean,
know,
those big dudes, it just there's so many things that can go wrong when all that weight's coming down on your knees and your legs, and if you fall wrong, it's a tough position to play all 82 games or 72 or whatever this year is. But
yeah, for sure. Probably the reason why the Knicks they don't want to pay KP.
yeah, no, and honestly, I mean, like I wasn't thrilled when they traded KP, but he went to the Mavs and you saw he messed up his other knees. Now it's a 7'3" dude with two bum knees. It just looks like he lost almost all of his lateral quickness and is like a shell of himself on defense. So I mean, I don't know. I'd rather have Randall on this contract than KP on a max contract because you just never know how many games KP is going to play in here.
Yeah, for sure. Randall's the Iron Man, right?
Yeah, I mean, he missed that one game for a leg bruise, but I mean, other than that, he's been giving it his all every minute he's out there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's transition into Lakers. We could transition to Los Angeles just in general, right? The Lakers, they're 6-9 without LeBron. AD has been hurt since before the All-Star break. He's been dealing with that Achilles. They don't want to bring him back. They don't want to rush him back just because, we saw what happened with Kevin Durant in the finals 2 years ago. And, they're more like when you watch them without the superstars, like they're more thin than you thought they was. Like they're running Dennis Schroeder. I'm not a big fan of Harold. He's a midget center. That's what I call him. Like after the disrespect I saw Jokic just put on him, I can't no more.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for them to be in. I really think Drummond's gonna help fill the gap. until AD gets back, but they're still really going to struggle if AD and LeBron are out for much longer.
And then when they come back, they still got to get that chemistry, get that defensive chemistry, especially, because the West every year it's a gauntlet, especially with Utah now. Like Utah Suns are good now. It's a lot of good teams out in the West. That Denver with the addition with Aaron Gordon, that has improved that team defensively a lot, extremely. Because now they have somebody who's big, physical. He did a good job on Kawhi the other night. I don't know if he was watching that game, but he put it on. He put some good defense on Kawhi.
Oh
But
yeah, he's good. He's a solid defender overall.
yeah, for sure. I guess he was part of the reason why the Magic were a good defensive team. They would make the 7th, 8th seed just off of defense.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And yeah. So how do you feel? Like, do you think the Clippers? I mean, not the Clippers. You feel like the Lakers? Like, should we be concerned? Like, should they fan base be concerned about them coming into the playoffs all banged up, or it's LeBron? It doesn't really matter.
I mean, to me personally, as long as LeBron and AD have enough time, if they come back like soon, close enough to the playoffs that they can get kind of some run and get back into playing shape before the playoffs, I think they're going to be fine as long as they're all healthy, and they'll probably at least make it to the finals. But I mean, the Clippers and West, like you said, it's a gauntlet, man, and anything could happen. And one little small injury to that team in the playoffs, and they're going to have serious issues.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you? What do you think?
I honestly believe like you, I feel like if they're able to get it together, right? Like if they're able to get like 5-6 games together, all healthy before the playoffs, I feel like they're fine, right? But
Mm.
if AD is coming back like barely into the playoffs, I think it can become an issue, right? Because 1 through 8, like even the AFC, like Luca, like he'll take games off. He might beat you, but he's gonna wear you out until the next series when you do play like a Utah or you do match up with the Clippers in the second round. You know, it's going to be a problem. I do.
Yeah, no, I totally see that. I mean, there's teams like even Portland getting Powell on their team. I think that was a big pickup for them. I mean, having him, Lillard, McCollum all on the floor that can hit threes and drive to the rim, I think they're going to give people problems in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, for sure. I think Powell is a dog, but man, Gary Trent. I'm a big Duke fan. I love Gary Trent, man. Gary
I
Trent,
love
my
Gary Trent
guy.
too. I don't think he will now that he got traded because I'm sure Toronto will pay him. But I was really hoping that the Knicks would throw some money at him.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, Gary Trent is. I think the reason Portland got rid of him was just that they didn't want to have to pay him next year. But I mean, if I was Portland, I'd find some other salary to move and keep that dude.
But I'm pretty sure Powell's an expiring contract too. So they would have to, unless they don't want to pay Powell. Like they would
Yeah,
have to pay Powell too. So I was like, I guess the organization just came to a decision like this guy is gonna be better for us, than Trent. But Trent's been balling in with the Raptors. I think today he hit a game winner today.
yeah. Is he playing what small forward with the Raptors, or is he at two back at two?
I'm pretty sure he's playing the 3 with Lowry and Van Vliet.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe that they think that Powell's a better defender at three, and that's why Portland thought of switching him. But other than that, that trade. I mean, I guess it's a better fit, but still giving up on a player like Trent Edwards is it's a tough call.
And you gotta remember, the Raptors, they started off slow. I still think they're a good team, even though they're having center issues. I still think they're a good team, and they're gonna knock somebody off that plane. They're gonna be in the playoffs. They're either gonna knock us out or somebody. They're a really good team. They still play that defense. They still coach really well. That's my bold prediction. I believe they're gonna be that sneaky team that gets into the play and just gets a playoff spot. I do.
I can see that. I mean, I was honestly so surprised they didn't trade Lowry at the deadline,
Yeah.
but now they haven't. I mean, they still definitely have enough to, at bare minimum, make a play in a game.
Yeah, for sure. I thought as soon as they traded Powell, I'm like, all right, I guess they're blowing it up, and I guess
Same,
right.
same.
What do you think like they was asking for too much for Lowry, probably, right?
I think they wanted a first and a player, is if I'm remembering correctly on like what the offers were. Because
Probably.
I know Miami didn't want to give up Tyler Hero or Duncan Robinson for him, and I mean it is like Toronto's franchise player, like most popular player that they've ever had. So I mean, I can see them not wanting to make that deal if it's not a deal they think is like everything they wanted.
Yeah, for sure. And they're probably still confident that they could draft well. Remember they took Malachi Flynn. I was really high on him out of San Diego State. I thought they should. I thought the Knicks could have drafted him before I knew, because I knew quickly who he was in Kentucky, being SCE player of the year and all that. But I
Mm,
didn't believe his game would translate to the NBA. Like he proved me wrong. I really did. I thought quickly was gonna be trash when he came into the league. I
yeah,
really
yeah.
did.
I mean, I wasn't like upset about the quickly picks. I mean, it's a late first rounder, but I thought like best case scenario he was Malik Monk, and he's shown an ability to like actually handle the ball and potentially even run an offense. So I mean, that's been such a big surprise and really offsets how disappointing the year Obi's had this year.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like if quickly didn't pan out, like this draft would have been a complete disaster, because you're not bringing in no talent that could help right away, and we can have like so the fans can envision a future with them, right? Because you know how Knicks fans are, like, like they was done with Dennis Smith Jr. like half a season in, like they was done
Yeah,
with him.
they ain't patient. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But back west, the Clippers, they brought in Rondo to help that group. They was struggling getting the offense flowing, because Kawhi, he doesn't want to bring up the ball all the time. Um, Reggie Jackson is not really. I think Reggie Jackson shouldn't. I don't even understand how Reggie Jackson is in the NBA. To be
I mean,
completely.
he's a good scoring guard, little combo guard, maybe like off the bench or something. But yeah, I don't see him as a starter in the league at all.
Bro, it's so confusing on how like he's playing for this team. And like Patrick Beverly has just like he's not in a rotation no more. They're playing more of a Terrence Mann. He's
I
from
forgot
Brooklyn.
all about Pat Beverly for a minute. Wow, I didn't realize he was still on that team.
He's like the last person on that team from, a few years ago when they had
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah. They've traded everybody. Lou Williams, he was upset. He was thinking about retiring. He felt like most of these players, like when they get traded, when they felt like they had a deep connection with the organization, it rubs them the wrong way when they just get suddenly traded. Because like Marcus Smart is like an example, right? Like Danny Ainge was shopping him around, and Marcus Smart is like he's a Boston Celtic, to the heart. It hurts.
Oh, for sure, man. Like even when they traded Isaiah Thomas, like that was ruthless, man. He gave him like one of the best years of that the Celtics have had in recent memory, and they just shipped away. And I know Kyrie Irving's a great player, but that was just you felt bad. I felt bad for Isaiah Thomas after that, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that was probably one of the best coaching jobs like in NBA history. Like he had a 5'9" point guard averaging 30, like Brad Stevens, and then they want to call for his job. Like just be grateful that you have a top five, top three coach in the NBA.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, you don't like when Miami was having a few down years, you didn't hear people calling for Spoelstra's job. I mean, I know Brad Stevens doesn't have the rings and things like Spoelstra does, but he also doesn't have like, LeBron James and D Wade either. It's just, I think, I still think he's one of the best X and O's coaches in the league.
Yeah, for sure. Outplaying coaches in the playoffs. You know how many times he duped Brett Brown, bro?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, with the Clippers, Ty Lue, he's I guess like do you feel like Ty Lue's been a difference maker, or it's like the same we'll see in the playoffs? Like, how do you feel about that Ty Lue hire?
I mean, if Doc's message wasn't resonating with the players and the players like Ty Lue and he's able to get more out of them and the players to buy in more, I think it was the right move for them to make. But I think Doc's a better coach, and I don't think coaching was necessarily the problem. I mean, you see the Clippers still have problems this year. That's why they had to go out and trade for Rondo. I just think that the Clippers, as much as like whenever they traded for Kawhi and Paul George, I thought I was going to absolutely love that team because I love Kawhi, I love Paul George, I love Pat Beverly. It's like just those three as defenders on that roster. I was like, that's just they're gonna be so tough to score on. But when your best player is Kawhi, he's not an emotional leader, and I don't think he really gets his team excited and to buy in. And there's not a lot of chemistry. So, I mean, I guess that's what they're hoping for from Rondo, someone that can distribute and kind of be a actual leader on the team because Paul George is basically flamed out every time in the playoffs. And Kawhi can only do so much. And like you said, he doesn't really want to be the one taking the ball up the court every time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like you said, like Paul George flameouts have been like embarrassing. It really has. Like even like after he came back from the leg injury in Indiana, I know like it took him some time to come back, but the
Mm,
regular season, he's been somewhat awesome, and then in the playoffs, it's just a dramatic change in his game. Like the Portland series, he disappeared for 4 games. Uh, that the Utah series, the year before that, when Donovan Mitchell, pretty much just a rookie Donovan Mitchell, just took him out the game offensively. He couldn't match the shot making. Um, Paul George, like even last year with the backboard shot from the side, like it's a lot of stuff. Like the defense will always be there, like because he's one of the better defenders that the NBA has.
mm,
But because Kawhi is gonna be Kawhi, right? But for them to really take the next level, even with the Rondo trade, like the Rondo is not gonna fix Paul George going, 2 for 15,
right, right.
right? Like, and the thing that really bugged me was like how Paul George he blamed Doc on all the smoke, on like he tried to play him like JJ Redick off
Yeah,
screens
I heard that.
and pin downs.
You got to take some responsibility for yourself, man.
Like, bro, we was watching the game. Like, come on.
Yeah, Doc's won some rings. You won thing. So be
Yeah,
calling him out.
that's what I'm saying. And then the 3-1 lead, probably one of the worst 3-1 leads. Like, it was probably to me it was more embarrassing than the Golden State one because at least Golden State they lost to LeBron.
Right, right.
Like
Yeah,
they
they lost
lost to
some of the
Jokic
guys.
and Jamal Murray. They couldn't stop them for like 3 straight games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, they definitely blew that. And like you just one of those players, Kawhi or Paul George, has to step up and just win you a game at that
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Paul George needs to give Kawhi a series. You know,
Yeah.
for real.
I mean, he's getting paid all that money, and he's just not showing. I mean, like he said, he's playing great in the regular season, but he's just not getting it done when it counts.
And then the last thing that I want to talk about before I let you go, Paul George, when he signed that extension in the summer, this past summer, I didn't think it was more of like, we want to continue this relationship for years. I think it's more of like a Blake Griffin thing. Like, you're a good player, and when we feel like you're not going to work, we're going to trade you. And I feel like Kawhi didn't sign his extension because he's still iffy on him.
Oh yeah, Kawhi's definitely still waiting to see. I think how this year goes and what the front office does. But I mean, they gave up a lot in that Paul George trade, and they don't have a ton of flexibility to really get better from here. So I mean, if they don't do something in the playoffs this year, I wouldn't be surprised if Kawhi had at least some doubts about it.
Yeah, for sure. And leave. Yeah.
So, what type of free agents outside of like the obvious Lonzo and Brunson would you like to see the Knicks take a run at this offseason?
Oh, to be completely honest, right? I would like to like it's not more about the free agents. Like I would like to see them keep like Burks, like somebody like Burks. I would like to see them keep maybe Reggie on on like a small time deal. I think not. It's more of finding a point guard. Like it's just more about finding a point guard, not about the other pieces to me. I feel like if we found like a legit point guard, like above average point guard, we'd be a whole better team. I think we would step into the next tier, not like the Boston Celtic, the Indiana, like on that tier. I feel like we're still in like the Charlotte, the Bulls. Like we didn't break. I still believe, even though we're having a great season, I still don't believe we broke that threshold. So if I would like, I want them to be cheap. To be honest, I want them to be cheap. If anything, go trade up for Snugs, or if you have to open up the treasure chest and go get Cade, like I'm completely 100% down for that. Cause I want them to be cheap, bro. I don't want them to just keep throwing. I don't want them to throw money like the Hawks did, just because we had a good season. I don't. If anything, retain most of the players we have on the team. Let go of Alfred Payton. If anything, bring up a better backup. I believe Dragic. He has. I was looking at him more specifically, like somebody like him. He has a team option for 18 mil, something like that. I'm pretty sure Miami's gonna decline that. If you know, if he wants to move on, that's like like a player like that. Like I would appreciate Gordon Dragic. I don't think we're able to get the chance on Gary Trent Jr. I don't think so. He's restricted.
Right, yeah, I don't see trying to letting him go.
I don't know if you're a big fan of the point guard at Auburn. I forgot his first name. His last name is Cooper.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about. I don't. I've seen a little bit of him. I honestly haven't seen a ton though.
Really good vision. Really good vision. His vision is up there with Snugs and Cade. Really
Mm.
good vision, but he's 6'1". I don't know how good of an NBA defender he would be. With him, like you would have to think like him and RJ would be your backcourt of the future, right? So I don't know how good he would be defensively, but as far as running an offense, and if we're not gonna get a lottery pick, say like the Dallas pick is not a lottery pick, and our pick we make the playoffs, he's a guy at 18, 20 that the Knicks should look at for real.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see that. I mean, they need to find a player like that somewhere, whether it's draft or free agency or what. But they definitely need another lead guard on this team.
Who do you feel like they should get if it's not Lonzo?
Honestly, some players I was looking at was as far as guards go. I think Landry Shamit's a free agent this year, and I think him coming either as a starter off the bench if we let Bullock go. I think having him to play when Quickly's off the court really adds a lot more 3-point shooting to our team and would, just kind of spread the floor to allow RJ to attack the rim a little easier and just everybody get to the rim a little easier. Outside of point guards, though, I know TJ Warren from Indiana. I know he was hurt. He's hurt this year, but I think he's a really good player. And if you could get him and RJ and Quickly, or if you re-sign Burks and Mitch, I think that would be a really solid lineup.
Yeah, for sure. No, I like TJ Warren's game a lot. The only problem is like you said, he's coming off an injury, and how much money would he command? You would think like he would want a long-term contract. It's probably the first contract he's gonna get paid, right?
Yeah, I think he only made like 7 mil this year or something like that.
Yeah, so he'll be looking to get paid. But as far as I like Shaman, I like that Shaman pick a lot. If he's going to replace Bullock, but I don't know if what does Shaman give you that Bullock doesn't, you know?
No, that's a good point. I think Bullock's a much better defender. It's more if Bullock leaves. Clippers for whatever reason. They don't feel like paying whatever he's worth. But honestly, I think he'll probably actually be cheaper than Shamit on the open market.
Do you give Bullock or Alex Burke a long-term deal?
I'd definitely give Burke. I'd like to give Burks an extension if you can get it at a reasonable price.
How much is reasonable?
I'd say maybe, I don't know, 4 years, 12 million a piece.
Oh, that's cheap. That's nah, he'll laugh at that contract.
Yeah, the highest I would go would be 15 probably.
You know, I saw on Twitter I think I saw 326.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I was like, damn, like
Yeah.
412, like nah, he won't take that. He won't take
Yeah.
that. I think he's played like I think he deserved at least 8 mil a year.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
You know, like because if you think, right, like his defense has been better than I thought he would. Like he's not the best one-on-one defender, but damn, like he'll play the team. Like, he's a good team defender. He understands the concept. Tibbs is trying to run. He's a fourth quarter killer. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
yeah,
And
like
just to be clear, I'm at 4 years, 12 million each year,
okay.
not I guess 48 million. So that
Okay. Yeah.
that's my idea of like a reasonable contract for him.
I thought you said 4 years over 4 mil over. I mean, so yeah, the
12
other way
million over
around.
4 years.
Yeah, I was like,
I might have said that honestly. I mix up my words a lot.
yeah. Pretty much went through everything, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. That's all we had on our list, I believe.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I'll catch y'all later. Episode 6 of the Corner 3 podcast. I guess I'll catch y'all next week, maybe Tuesday, maybe Thursday. We'll see. Maybe Nolan come on, maybe not. We'll see. Catch y'all guys later.
All right, thanks a lot.